Number 2 between Jaedong and Taeja. All right, spawning down in the bottom right-hand position, the red Zerg. It is Evil Genius's Jaedong. And as we were saying, he is down 1-0 against the opponent in the top left-hand corner. It's Liquid's Taeja. And we'll see what Taeja brings to the table over here. I'm hoping it's a lot of aggression, as we've seen. And this is what we were talking about. Taeja likes to change it up a lot more these days. In Wings of Liberty, I felt like he was a very bland player. He played very abusive, don't get me wrong. He did a lot of macro cheeses, which were really tricky against a lot of Protosses. I felt like TVP was a big strength in his matchups back then. But now he's filling in the gaps, right? He's getting those semi-all-ins into his compositions like we just saw last game, where it's a lot of pressure. It could be an all-in if he really wants to commit to it, but at the same time, he has those macro plans afterwards, and that just makes him a much more well-rounded player.
Yeah, I think so too, and it'll be interesting to see what we'll see this game. He's doing the Reaper opening. It'll probably be either Hellion Banshee or just kind of a standard opening. We'll have to see though. He could do a similar build to last game if he wants to. On this map, again, it's difficult to Overlord Scout, as I mentioned in the last game. So, I mean, there is potential for that kind of play.
I have a question for you, Ghost User. You say Hellion Banshee. If you do Hellion Banshee as a Terran, is it correct to go Reapers? Because I'm of the opinion that no, you don't want to, because Reapers cost a lot of money. But what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's still pretty good. The Banshee attack isn't delayed, really, if you're doing this kind of opening. At least I don't think it is. It feels like it comes out at the same time when you're playing Zerg.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still pretty viable. I mean, economically, you're not in as good of a position, but the Zerg can't take a third as quickly against the Reaper play either. So it's kind of a trade-off.
So you're just like doing damage. It's a double-edged sword, you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, your economy is going to be weaker, but Zerg's economy is usually a bit weaker when you're playing against a Reaper opening.
Gotcha. Well, it makes a lot of sense. 2 Reapers will be coming out here pretty soon, as we will have a command center being dropped directly after that. Very standard play by both these players. Jaedong opting to go for the metabolic boost opening, as we've seen multiple times, and taking drones off gas. He keeps 1 on there. I don't mind that whatsoever. I mean, it just gives you utility a little bit later on, and he's optimally saturated at his main base. Zergling's about to approach here and shut down this Reaper from doing any more damage. Nice micro weakening, bringing back the weakened Zergling to just keep him alive a little bit longer. Reaper will continue doing aggression. This is a great map for Reapers, by the way. I mean, you're able to do just such consistent damage throughout a long period of time in the early game stages, especially with 2 Reapers.
Yeah, 2 is the magic number.
You're able to just hop down, like this natural place where creep isn't around, just helps out so much. Now peppering a little bit of the Queen. Another Queen is in production right now. He's just stopping there because he doesn't have the minerals to do so yet and transferring over.
I mean, when you go the Reapers, you're not expecting to get much done damage-wise with them anyway, though. Not these days. At first, when HOTS first came out, everyone tried to do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you don't expect to get more than maybe 1 kill at most with them.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, too, how the evolution of that has happened. And you are absolutely right. Hellions being produced, and now a starport has been made, and I love this. I mean, Jaedong, a lot of people would say, okay, run your Overlord out because it could be potential Marines incoming. But what Jaedong says is, okay, I know you're going 2 Reapers. You want to be going a factory directly after that. That means the reactor is going to go down, so I can keep my Overlord inside your base. And that's a really valuable tool that you can do to just have no surprises when you're up against a Terran.
And did he see the starport?
I don't think so, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is. He could have flown in there and seen it. There's nothing to stop him, but even not seeing it, I think he can kind of expect it to some extent.
Sure. And the Banshee has been initiated right now. Roachborn underway for Jaedong. So this can still come as a surprise. I feel like Banshees, well, obviously they're really very, very powerful against Roaches in the early game stages. You're so cost efficient against them. As long as they're not overwhelming you, I don't think that's going to be the case because there is a 3rd hatchery out here for Jaedong. Although we could see a sick cancel. I don't think we're going to see that though. So we're just patiently waiting for these players to actually make their moves. Taeja starting to move across the map with his large amount of Hellions. And of course Reapers, and eventually that Banshee will be incoming. Starting to deny some creep tumors if possible. 3 creep tumors are out on the field. And third base is just about finished. And his queen is ready to inject. Where does Taeja go from here? Wow, he's not adding on a third command center. This is going to be some heavy pressure, Mike. And I almost feel like this is going to work out perfectly because of the delayed upgrades for Jaedong, too.
Yeah, I think it could work out pretty well for Taeja. I think he'll still start his third command center pretty soon, though, because if he wasn't going to make it, he would have another 2 barracks going up now.
That makes sense. And he has a total of 3 on the way right now. Medevacs will be made pretty soon here. Banshee being deflected very easily by these 2 queens. Taeja needs to be careful. Can't lose that Banshee, only down to 32 hit points. And the Roaches are going to push out yet again, trying to get a little bit more room for those creep tumors to just pop down and spread his creep. Roach is going to engage against these Hellions. Almost need to be careful, but he's fine. Third command center does go down. It's incredibly late. And if Jaedong just plays this standard, he will be so far ahead, by the way. Like, Taeja's done nothing with all the tech that he's invested into. He's done nothing with all the units that he's made. And because of that, I mean, really, Jaedong has just prioritized getting his income. Income tab showing 54 harvesters to 44, but he has his third base at that location for a while. He's getting his gases. He's approaching a 4th hatchery. Everything is going the way of Jaedong.
Yeah, I think we're going to see another 11-minute push like the previous game, and it's going to have to do something. But as you said, Jaedong definitely has the advantage now. And Taeja, I don't know how much he's going to be able to do with this.
I have no clue. I mean, additional 2 barracks are being added on. 11-minute push, it's normally good in conjunction with some sort of upgrade, +1. Of course, your combat shields, things like that, but that's not even going to happen this time around. I think Taeja can't push, honestly, at 11 minutes. I kind of feel like it's a risk to do that, knowing that you're behind in so many of your upgrades. Stim just now finishing at 10:30, and normally you're pushing out. And okay, so he's going to do that, and we'll see what happens. What I'm, I guess, worried about is potential mutas coming out very quickly. Normally, when you're not doing pressure in the beginning stages and you see just a couple of roaches, you can, I wouldn't say expect, but there is a range that you're up against, like 12-minute mutas, like really, really early mutas. So that means they're being made right now, and that's a big problem. But no, 15 roaches in production. This attack will get shut down pretty easily, but not before killing a couple of overlords here.
Yeah, that's actually a nice pickoff. I didn't think he'd be able to get much done at all, but
yeah,
he's already gotten a decent amount of damage done, killing 3 overlords there.
But this 1-1 timing is approaching, and this might do some killing blows. Emergency bunkers will go down to try to deal with that a little bit more effectively. Roaches are staying back to intercept this incoming drop. Taeja not paying attention, just losing the trickled Marines. Needs to be so careful. That actually affects him so much. And now he's starting to attack the assault on the front. 1-1 against 0-0, but 1-1 about to finish. Widowmine gets shut down immediately. And look, there are no medevacs around here to heal the weakened Marines. Combat shields not even halfway done. The Roaches can still do a lot of damage, but in the meantime, this attack at the natural base might be cleaned up over here as Roaches are able to weaken and soften up everything, but now dropping over to the third base. In the meantime, the natural base has been not broken. Taeja able to hold this off. But at the same time, stop the third base. In the meantime, Taeja again putting pressure on that third. And oh my god, I don't know how Taeja is doing this. He's able to out-harass his opponent. He might lose this. And at the same time, there is the big engagement going down at the natural base, but the third, I think, is going to be defended. Oh my goodness, this is so close. But it's starting to get a little bit overwhelming as the Roaches are pushing in. Will they be able to clean everything up? It gets very snowbally, but a nice pickup with the siege tank. Now he sieges behind the wall, and the Roaches will have to push back. The Banshee that's still alive. Are you kidding me?
Is it enough, though? There's so many more units streaming into his natural.
Oh, and he didn't lift up this supply depot, so the units are able to get in here. I'm not sure. The drop did get cleaned up, and Roaches are just streaming through now. The Roaches from the bottom ground are trying to target some of the units on the high ground, and all the funneling that's happening. Hold position with the SCVs are keeping all of these units locked into place, and Jaedong is going to be stopped. The push is held, and Taeja showing a lot of life in this game number 2. Is it going to be enough? At what cost? 33 harvesters to 66. So Jaedong still looking pretty healthy. And he's switched over to Spire Tech. So he's a lot healthier than I thought.
Yeah, Jaedong's still in a pretty good position. Even after that, his upgrades also aren't that far behind. He has 2-2 on the way. He has 1-2 already finished. And now he has Mutalisk as well. And actually, it looks like he's pretty far ahead looking at the supply. And considering his 4th base going up and Mutalisk tech out, usually Mutaling Baneling, you don't have this good of a position. Like upgrades-wise, he's in an incredibly good position. Supply-wise, he has a 4th base going up, and Taeja's 3rd is just now about to be saturated. So I think Jaedong's in the lead.
And because Taeja has witnessed such an economic blow, honestly, just everything will be so far behind his massive units. Normally you're going to have 3-3 and a lot, like an almost maxed out army, and I feel like Taeja just will not be able to get to that point, although a great defense.
And also importantly though, because Taeja decided to do that initial pressure, the medevac drops instead of a push straight up. He hasn't been able to deny the creep at all.
That's true.
And this
oh
creep
my
is
god,
covering the map at this point.
It's already past the halfway mark. I mean, this is beautiful. That means the 4th base is going to be very properly defended for Jaedong. The push out is probably going to get shut down here as Zerglings are already... Oh, where'd they go? Zerglings went all the way back to the main base, natural base. Going to start morphing up some Banelings. Centrifugal Hooks isn't finished. That's the big reason why. So he doesn't want to have an unlucky engagement, especially with Widow Mines. Those are the X factor. And Taeja doing a good job, just staying kind of off creep for the most part, but trying to kill as much as possible. You can see the mine positioning especially. Zergling's going to be sprinting over, trying to do a counterattack, but there are Marines to intercept all these units. I don't think this will be a big problem. No, it isn't. So nice heads-up play. Now pushing all in, and the Widow Mines are actually going to be taken out. This is a big advantage for Jaedong. Great splits there, and now it's just Mutaling Baneling against, well... Banelings weren't actually there, so that affects him quite a bit. Taeja now going to be pushed back, and there is no AoE in this composition. Where are the Widow Mines? There they are. They don't have the alligator upgrades yet, though.
Yeah, and these Marines are going to die and only kill out several Zerglings. And Jaedong's lead is growing. Taeja, I'm not sure how he can move on the map. He barely has any Widow Mines. His Bioforce isn't that large either. If you look at his 3rd base, it only has 6 workers on it right now. So economically, he's also not in a good position. I don't know what he can do to come back.
I mean, it's unfortunate. He just has to play super defensive in this position. Just get a lot of Widow Mines and hope that Jaedong just makes bad movements, tries to push in, end the game, and from there you can come back. But I feel like trying to instigate a fight is incorrect because he'll get shut down really hard. I mean, he doesn't have the material to really properly attack and stay safe, unlike other games. Just he doesn't have that infrastructure with the Widow Mines. He doesn't have the medevac count. Well, no, he does have the medevac count. The Marine count, I guess, is what I'm really looking at. And from here, Jaedong is just going to keep teching. Hive Tech is underway. He wants to get that plus 3/3. Now, that's one thing. Upgrades that we can talk about. Plus 3 attack is finished for Taeja. Plus 3 armor is now being started. So he does have that extra upgrade over his opponent. You can still fight
okay, though, I feel
yeah,
like, with 2-2
agree.
against 3-3.
I definitely
because
agree.
as the Zerg, most of the DPS coming out is from the Banelings, not from the Zerglings.
Yes, I mean, the Banelings are the main damage-dealing units in any composition, really. Even with the Ultras out there, your Baneling connections mean the majority of the fight, or even indirect damage with it, with the Baneling just focusing the Marines to micro. A drop over at the main base is going to ensue. And I think this even will get shut down pretty easily without doing too much damage. Jaedong massing up all the way in the mid left-hand side. So he has emptied his main and the natural for a lot. So maybe I was wrong with that. Maybe he can do a lot of damage, but we'll see.
Yeah, but the main base is pretty much mined out. So at most he's going to kill the drones mining the extractors. Oh, but he can get the pool.
Yep.
That's not actually that big of a deal, though, because he has an ultraless cavern building anyways. So I don't think he can take advantage of this and capitalize on like the momentary halt in Jaedong's ling production. I mean, Jaedong's max now. He doesn't need to produce many more lings until that new spawning pool finishes.
And adrenal glands doesn't really matter as much. People might say that, but I mean, when it comes down to it, you just want the Zerglings to be bodies.
A lot of Zergs don't even get it these days.
Do you ever think there's a situation where you need it? ZVP maybe or something?
Maybe ZVP if you're going a ling heavy style. ZVT, you don't even need it, I don't think, because most of the damage in the ground is from the Banelings. and the added attack speed doesn't matter because the Zerglings that are next to the Marines usually don't have to do much damage to them to kill them off.
Sure. I mean, they're surrounding. They're the bodies, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Sad that that upgrade is never used. In Starcraft Brood Warrior, it was like the main upgrade you always got.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, if it was any better, then it could make the Lynx pretty imba.
That's true. Nice splits over here with Jaedong's Banelings, honestly.
Good counterattack by Jaedong.
Yeah, it is. The Zergling's going to get in here, and a lot of Banelings actually trying to connect against some of these Marines, but great splits are going to disallow that from happening. But meanwhile, that's going to give enough time for Jaedong to actually distract his opponent and just clean up in the middle. And that's a great combination that a lot of Zergs I implore you guys to use because it really does shut down a lot of Terran micro tricks that you can do in the main engagements. Just do that counterattack. That's where they're focusing their micro, and then you get the jump in the main engagement. 5 Ultralisks and 6 Infestors out in the way. And Adrenal Glands has been started. 3-3, just about halfway done if you add both of them up, whatever.
Jaedong's just in such a good position for the late game. He
Yeah.
has all of his late game upgrades underway. He's even getting that useless Adrenal Glands upgrade.
We'll see how useless it is. I would love to see a chart of just like how well Zerglings do after that upgrade. Maybe one day.
I actually
The
have seen
stats
a
were
chart
out.
like that, and it wasn't that much different at all.
Was it 20%?
I don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember that it didn't matter that much.
Okay. Well, Infestors definitely matter. I mean, locking down units and even throwing out Infested Terrans to intercept some of the Widowmine shots, that's something that you can't really overlook. A drop over at the 5th base location will be picked up and promptly eliminated, with the Mutaflock being still a pretty sizable count. 17 Mutas out in the field.
Yeah. I think Jaedong's just trying to look for a good fight, but Taeja is not pushing as aggressively as I think Jaedong's hoping for. Jaedong, he's perfectly ready to remax as soon as a fight happens. He has 91 larvae on the field, so he can pretty much make anything he wants after a fight takes place.
That's incredible.
I mean, he has the money to do it too.
And there it is, Infested Terrans going to pop down some of the... Oh! Actually, the Widow... Wow, big Baneling hits! That was definitely a target fire. And you can see everything just getting eliminated so fast. Is there enough bio? Yes, there is! Taeja somehow coming back in that battle. An incredible fight. Mike, that was definitely target fire
That
with
was
those
definitely
Widowmines.
target fire.
I mean, that... Who does that? Not a lot of players do that, and it's such an effective way. You know, if you don't target fire, the Widowmines, a lot of times, especially against Ultras, will just fire one at a time. But with target fire, you're able to do a lot of burst damage in a single area, and it helps out so incredibly much. 5th base almost gets taken out. Was that enough to put Taeja back in the game?
Kind of. He still has an uphill battle ahead of him, though. Supply-wise, he's down. Jaedong has a large bank, and Jaedong has all the upgrades he needs. He doesn't need to upgrade anything else for the rest of this game. Maybe another flyer attack or two, but besides that, he has every upgrade he needs.
It's just so minor, and we can see the medevac count even is very low for Taeja. It's all the way down to 5. He needs a lot more to do those harassment tools to get back into this. Some Widow Mines are going to explode onto some of the Infested Terrans, but looks like Jaedong just backs up and waits for another day. Is this a position where you go into Broodlords ever?
I mean, you can. You can also stick in this Ultralist composition, though, and just concentrate on denying Taeja a 5th base over and over. Because on 4 base, eventually Taeja is going to run out of money, and then Jaedong will just win if that happens.
Well, Taeja being bold, pushing on creep. He doesn't have a bank, but he does have a pretty close to max army. As you can see, they're just 4 supply away, so it helps out so much. Mutas are flying into the main base, trying to do damage, but really there's nothing of value over here. But here's the main engagement. Fungal Growth locking down a lot of these units. Widowmine's not able to get the best engagements. And guess what? Ultras are really powerful in conjunction with Infestors and Queens, keeping them alive for a long time. And on top of that, staying on creep. A nice little engagement for Jaedong. Combination attack yet again with the Mutas still ravaging the natural base.
And Taeja's going to have trouble remaxing at this point. His economy isn't actually very good right now. He only has 2 mining bases, and his 3rd's slowly starting to get pretty low too. And he's not dropping that many mules actually. I don't see a single mule at his 3rd or his 4th
this is something that we see Taeja do a lot of times. I've actually been studying a lot of Taeja replays, especially in his TVPs. He actually cuts mules around 13, 14 minutes in the majority of his games. And only when he feels he absolutely needs to use mules, he'll burst them down. He likes to use them for just the added intelligence of the scans, obviously. So it's just a style that he's really learned to develop and played overall very strong. And again, pushing in here, but where are the Widow Mines? Mike, this might be a great timing for Jaedong, even though he's not fighting on creep.
Yeah, this could be still, I mean, with Infestors, you can still take a pretty good fight at creep. With Infestor, Ultraling, Banling, you just fungal the Terran units, and then the Ultralisk can still get next to them. The main use of the creep is so your units can close with the Terran at this point in the game.
Yes. And it looks like he's just backing off because of those Broodlords incoming. There's the +3 flyer attack that you're talking about way earlier. But other than that, we haven't seen any other upgrades, Mike. You're absolutely right.
There's nothing else for him to get. Maybe Ventral Stacks, but that's even more useless than Adrenal Glands.
Well, I don't think we'll be seeing that. Broodlords making their way up into the engagement. And it's really unfortunate because there are no Vikings to deal with this. Not even any ghosts to deal with the Infestors. I mean,
look at Jaedong's army. Like, how do you beat that army with what Taeja has? Looks tough.
And there it is. He's going in for it. And wow, beautiful fungal growth. And I can actually say that now. And this is just a terrorizing force. Jaedong looking to tie up the series as Taeja is losing every single one of his units, down to 128 supply, and a still maxed army for Jaedong exists. 183 supply. The 5th base goes down. The Planetary Fortress will be eliminated, and the 4th base are in the eyes of Jaedong. Very one-sided, I would say.
Yeah, that was definitely a one-sided fight. I mean, the army of Taeja just can't fight Jaedong's army heads up.
What does Taeja need, actually, to defend against this composition? It feels like so impossible.
Normally, you just want to be counterattacking on both sides of the map constantly, and wearing Zerg, like, slowly whittling down their force.
So, never engage it.
Yeah, but in this position, Taeja's just so far behind that that's not an option.
Yeah.
So, he had to fight there, and it's just not a fight he can win.
Well, we're seeing it right now as the Broodlords are being targeted down, but Corruptors will come to assist. Along with that, there are Queens that are there to transfuse. Broodlings tanking a lot of the damage as Ultras clean up the rest of this bio, and Taeja is backed all the way into his natural base. This game is Jaedong's. The natural is just being ravaged, additional units being created and rallied all the way across the map. 6 Ultras and 6 Zerglings in production as we speak. And what can Taeja do?
Well, he can say GG sometime soon, I think. Other than that, I don't think there's too much. He doesn't have anything that can even kill these Broodlords if the Queens just shoot the Vikings and transfuse them occasionally. Yeah. And, I mean, with he has no money either. He can't build anything else, and he doesn't have that many units either. So, I mean, there's not too much he can do at this point.
I agree. And, you know, still really well played by Taeja. The execution, though, with the Roaches, the beginning stages really set off Jaedong on a nice little advantage, a little push.